Aloha and welcome to episode 37 of That Time I Got Arrested. This is sad. This is a really sad episode and it sucks and everything's terrible, but I'm fine. I just got back from Paris and I love you, and I would like to tell you something about my career goals and aspirations as like a podcaster. You know, that sounds kind of silly to say it, but that's what I found that I really enjoy doing and that I feel like I'm good at. I hear so many people telling me that they just like the sound of my voice, and I really like being alone or, you know, in a room with like one other person when I talk. It's really nice. It's not fun to do comedy and to be on stage as much as it is to like be in here and like talk to like, you know, like hundreds of people at the same time. Like that's really cool and fun for me. I like to listen to podcasts a lot. I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussell and Ari Shaffir and Chris D'Elia and Simon Rex and Moshe Kasher. Like I listen to all of them and I idolize them. You know, they talk about all of the stuff that I'm into, but what I've noticed is that it's like a bunch of boys, you know? Does anybody know out there of like a female podcaster who's like out for a silly goose time and trying to sling some jokes and like stories about their like drug exploits? You know, like I love doing drugs. Like I have acid on me right now. Like not to brag, like a humble brag, but like not even to brag, but like I have acid on me right now because you just never fucking know when you're gonna want a dose. And like maybe sometimes you just need a little tiny vial, you know, like in your back pocket, just because life is weird and like adventures are abundant if you appreciate them. I love all of these podcasters. I want to like be on their shows. I want to be them basically, but it would be really cool. It'd be so super, super cool if you could do me a little teeny tiny favor and maybe just like hit Duncan Trussell up in your DMs, like go on Instagram, hit him up. Tell him that you're a fan of this show and that it would be so cool if I would be a guest on there, or if he would be a guest on here, or, you know, just like tell him to listen even. I bet he would like the show. I feel like what is going to really like push this show forward is if each one of you who listen becomes sort of like an advocate for the show and becomes someone who talks about it and shares it and posts about it on social media and posts about it on message boards and posts about it in Facebook groups and posts about it on your Instagram and posts about it in places where other people can see about it. I mean, it's awesome if you like tell your friends, but it's even more cool if you like, you know, tell everyone that you've ever met. No, I think it would be cool if I was like the girl of all of those boys, you know, in like this boys club. Like there has to be one, right? Like there has to be one chick out there who's like, I like to do drugs and tell jokes. But like, you know the drugs I'm talking about though. Like I'm not a player. I'm not a custy. Shout out to that Diana who just is middle-aged custy. It was a really sweet message. I love all of your messages. I love all of your messages. Please write a review on iTunes. Please give us 5 stars. Please fucking subscribe. Please tell your friends. Please just do it. It'd be so chill. Thank you. I love you. My name is B. Casper, and my entire life has been a lie. That's not even my real name. But don't worry, I'm going to tell you all of my secrets. This isn't the story of how I became an orphan. This isn't the story about how I jumped off a 5-story building and survived. This isn't about how I died and came back funny. This is that time I got arrested. So it's probably like the most pretentious thing in the world to come back here and sit in this room and be like, I hate myself so much right now. To be like, Paris changed me, you know? Oh, Is there like a more insufferable phrase that you could ever imagine hearing from like a privileged white woman? You know, you fucking dumb bitch. Paris changed me. You know? I hate myself. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I have to tell you this. I really feel incredibly apologetic and truly sorry that I have to tell you that Paris changed me. in the sense that I walked around a city while it was raining and beautiful and empty, and I sort of had all of those really important romantic epiphanies that you have when you're pushing 30 and dealing with so much change and trauma and loss and having to come to terms with like, oh, who the fuck are you? You know, like, who are you? What are you? Who are you? And I think that's probably one of the biggest questions that we all face as human beings. And what's so interesting and what I really want to share with you about these revelations that I had while I was being changed in Paris. Sorry. I swear it's the last time I'm going to say that. I had all of these really important revelations about like, what are we as humans? You know, like what's our role here? Identity. And thinking about who I was as a person and my impact, or, you know, like what life was about, like what was the meaning of life, or what was the purpose of life, or even more importantly, like what was the purpose of my life. And I just want to share with you, you know, what I came up with while I was walking around in my grandmother's clothes for 2 weeks in Paris. You know, I went to her old apartment and I went to the cafe that she loved and I went to where she studied and I hung out with her friends and I ate all of her favorite foods. And I really like spent a lot of time like, you know, thinking about her and thinking about myself and thinking about like, you know, what kind of person I was and what kind of like life this was going to be about. And so I know I've kind of said this before, but I sort of want to circle back and reiterate what I really think life and soul and like the meaning of life is. Is this too heavy? No, we're good. Don't worry. I've got a lot more to tell you about today. So I think that we're all the same thing. I think that these like bodies, these like flesh bags of meat and bone are really just like a vessel for this like little piece of this bigger thing. And I think this bigger thing is God. And I think so we're all like a little piece of God. And I think our souls are sort of evolving at a different rate, but they're all evolving together at the same time. So like you are yourself and you are everyone else. And so you're like every person that has ever been hurt. And then you're also every person that has ever hurt anyone. So we're stretching our, you know, molecules so that we can understand what love and compassion and hate and rage and jealousy and, you know, virtues and vices really all are. And then like once we all understand that collectively, then, you know, we go on to like whatever is next, which I feel like is God, you know, so we're like all these little pieces of God together. And so it's like every person that you look at is a mirror of yourself at a different stage. So in the beginning of this journey, I feel like maybe you have a really easy life and the experiences that you have that are hard are minuscule in comparison to some of the experiences that you have like later on in your journey. So I feel like maybe the harder your life is, the further along you are in your soul journey, because the most important thing that we have to understand as God is pain. You know, so we're all sort of experiencing pain at different rates and different magnitudes so that we can sort of come to grips with it. So I feel like pain is like the most important experience that we all have collectively. And I feel like it's what builds the most character within yourself. It what deepens your understanding of like life and love and compassion, because like the more you hurt, you know, the better you are. It's like good for you. And that's so crazy and like weird to sort of come to terms with. But once you understand that, then you sort of greet pain in a different way. Then you're sort of like welcome and opening to it and letting it, you know, teach you whatever it's there for, because it's really there to like teach you something, and you're going to experience the same kind of pain over and over and over again until it's finished like teaching you whatever it's there to teach you. So, all right. Moving forward, what I really wanted to say with all of that was I'm going to tell you a story about a time in my life where I had to re-experience the same pain that I had already been through, you know, that I had already thought that I had like moved on from. And like in real time, I'm just coming back from Paris after experiencing a lot of pain and trying to like come to terms with it. But now I'm like sitting here telling you a story that happened fucking 5-6 years ago about me having to like re-experience an entirely different kind of pain. You know, you'd think that after everything that I'd been through, that after every fucking thing that I had been through, that I would actually not do something so stupid to put myself back in the same situation. And the really fun and crazy thing about parole is that, you know, you're basically on punishment still. You know what I mean? You're like out on leave, but you're not like out of the mob yet. You know what I mean? Like your contract is still with them, and all it takes is one epic slip up, and then you're right back there. You're right back in it, getting beat up and raped and fucked with. And the system is designed to break you down. It's designed to recycle you and turn you into a slave of, you know, sex or mind or body. You're giving up your mind and your body to the government. And that's what they're doing when they put you in prison. Like all prisons should be abolished. It's really fucking cool that California just banned private prisons, but it's not nearly enough. Like not even close. Like that's so dope and such a great move in the right direction. But it's actually, the thing is, none of us should be in jail or kept in cages at all, because we're human beings, and also zoos should be abolished. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. I took acid once at a zoo when I was like 20. No, seriously, I was like 20, and I took acid at a zoo with my friend Ian and Sean and Lindsay. And we went to see a Bass Next Door concert at the Lincoln Park Zoo. It was free. This is like when he was still really new. And I just like had this like epic realization that like zoos were just like jails for animals. Not that that's like epic in any way, but like for like a suburban privileged like white girl, that was like an epic realization. I was like, whoa, zoos are prisons and the animals should be in their habitat. Like that's exactly how humans are. Like they don't belong in cages and boxes, even if you're like violent and horrible and awful and need to be kept away from people. Being kept in a cage isn't gonna like fix you. It's not going to like do anything, you know? It's like, yeah, you should probably be like eating really healthy food and like in therapy and like meditating all day, but you definitely shouldn't be in a cage, because that definitely doesn't help our species or our society as a whole. That's definitely a detraction and not like something that rehabilitates anyone. And it should just be, you know, like something that's archaic and thought of as like a weird thing that we did in the past that we're like not into anymore. I woke up on a Wednesday morning and I had work at 5 p.m. And remember, I lived really far away at my cousin's house over the summer, driving almost 2 hours just to get to my fucking waitressing job every day. It was like such a waste of time and money and energy. But I did it, I did it because I was an ex-con and I had nothing left, and I was taking all of my drugs with me, and I had very recently gone to a music festival. So it was like I was traveling with all of my drugs, and I was driving 2 hours every day, and I was using drugs. I was smoking pot while I was driving. So smart, so making all of the good, right choices, right? But you have to remember, please, I know there are so many people that are like picking apart this podcast and like all of my behavior now. And I get that. And I'm glad that you're here. And I want you to know that like I see you. I'm like reading what you're writing on the message boards about me. And I feel you. I'm looking back, at this person who is myself and just thinking, bitch, what the fuck? What's wrong with you? Like I feel that. I do. And I feel that about myself even now, today. I think about like something I did a week ago and I'm like, bitch, what? But like, seriously, it's like you don't know how fucked up you are until you're looking back on it and you're thinking like, whoa, bitch, what are you doing? So I'm, making all of the bad decisions. I'm making all of the mistakes. I'm making all the wrong choices because I'm traumatized and I'm like so hurt and fucked up over everything that's just happened to me that I have no idea how to like put myself together, let alone like get my clothes on and get to work every day. That's literally the bare minimum. And that's even really asking me a lot at this point, but that's all I can do. All I can do is like, masturbate and get to work and drink a venti soy latte and fucking get as high as I can and just get through the day, get my $30 worth of snacks at Whole Foods and like get through the day, that's all I can do is just like get through the day. So that's all I'm doing. But I just went to a music festival and I had like a bunch of drugs on me and I was doing drugs. I was doing drugs a lot and I was working my way around the system because that's how the system is built. It's built to break you and then it's built with all of these loopholes within it so that you can get around it. It's like if you have enough money, if you have enough street smarts, if you have enough wherewithal, you can break all the rules. The rules aren't even real and that's what you come to learn, the longer that you're going through it. And then you're kind of like, well, then what is real? And then you just do more drugs and it like deepens you into this sort of like cycle of like conspiracy and corruption and you're upside down, And then days like this happen. So it's a Wednesday. I wake up at 3 p.m. like usual. I have to get to work at 5. It takes me like 20 minutes to get ready and takes me 2 hours to drive to work. So I'm in my car. I've got my venti latte. I'm smoking pot. I'm sitting in traffic because, of course, it's like about to be 5 p.m. and I'm trying to get to work. So I'm fucking sitting in traffic and some asshole calls the police on me and says that they see me smoking pot in my car while I'm driving, as if that were some kind of hazard or something. Honestly, whoever you are, fuck you. Actually, I don't even know if this is true, but this is what the police officers told me when I got pulled over. And it kind of makes sense that it's true because of the way that I got pulled over. So I was talking to my friend on the phone and I was getting high. And I was listening to Welder. Shout out. If you know who that is. You are so heady. I see this cop pull out behind me and I'm sitting in front of like a train track. And I thought that it was kind of weird that he pulled out behind me because he had been sort of like parked at this track and then like pulled out behind me like in the middle of traffic. And then he was like right behind me. So I'm kind of like, is he going to pull me over? And I'm talking to my friend on the phone and I'm like, is he going to pull me over? And she's like, do you have drugs in the car? And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, and I've just been smoking pot. I'm like, and I'm like really high right now. And she's like, get the drugs, put them in your bra. And I was like, honestly, I was just like too stoned. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't even react in that moment, even after everything that I had been through, even though I knew that I had so much to lose. Let me add insult to injury right now. I'm 11 months into my 1 year of parole. So I've got 1 month left before this is like the worst thing that could ever happen to me, really, because I get in trouble right now and I'm going straight back to jail for another fucking year. You know what I mean? Like, no getting out early, no day for day, no nothing. Like, you violate your parole, you serve the rest of your sentence. So I'm in this situation right now where it's not even really sinking in because I'm like super duper baked. But I'm just like, oh, I'm about to go back to jail for a year. Cool. So my friend and I are on the phone until the cops' lights go on. I'm like spraying this like rosemary and mint like body spray. I don't touch the drugs because I feel like more nervous to sort of like lean over into my backpack and get into the pouch that has the drugs in them and then like put them in my underwear or my bra. Like, I'm more nervous to do that. I'm just still blindly optimistic. You know, I'm still the person who like let her car run out of gas 6 times in 7 months. Like, I'm still just fucking thinking like, oh, they're not going to search my car. Like, I know I smell like weed. I know that I'm an ex-con. I know that I have a warrant out in another state, but no one is searching my car, you know? So the lights go on. I pull over next to a Dunkin' Donuts. The cop comes up to my car and he's like, do you have weed in the car? That's like the first thing that he says to me. And I'm like, I thought weed was legal. I'm in like Cook County and I thought that it had been decriminalized. I like remember reading something about that online. And that was literally my response to him because I'm dumb. I'm so dumb. I've fried all of my brain cells. My parents are drug addicts and murderers. Like, I'm dumb. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so fucking dumb. I mean, like, I've read a lot of books, but like, I'm dumb as fuck. And I just was like, I thought weed was legal now. And he's like, no, you dumb bitch. And I was like, oh. And he's like, I'm going to get out of your car and search you. And I was like, no. You know, because I'm still me. And I'm like, no. And he was like, yeah, well, you're under arrest. And I was like, oh, cool. I get out. They search my car. They impound it. I get arrested. They find the drugs. They ask me very plainly what the drugs are. And I say, they're fake. They're not even real. I told them that I bought those drugs at a music festival and that they were all fake and that I just hadn't thrown them away yet, you know? And the officers were like, yeah, right. So they test all the drugs at the police station. We were not fake. Shout out to all those drug dealers at Electric Forest. Fuck you and thanks. And so here's what I had. I had about 1/10 of Molly. I had 1/10 of DMT. I had 2 hits of acid. I had 3 Vicodin and about 1/8 of weed in a bowl. So really just like a good night. But yeah, also like 6 felonies. So I got put into a large holding cell with like a private bathroom and like a long bench and a mirror and like a 2-way mirror. And I sat there for about 6.5 hours while they sort of conducted their search and figured out, you know, what they were going to charge me with and where I was going to be sent to. And I went into the bathroom and I had like some Valium and Xanax and like a little bit of Coke in my bra because that was like for work. And I had like a private bathroom, so I was able to like flush all of that because I had been arrested by like men in Morton Grove. So I had the ability to sort of like get away with hiding some of the drugs in my bra, but the only reason they were hidden in my bra is because they were already there, because like that's where I was in life at that point in time. I don't have any drugs in my bra today. Not that I'm against that, but you know, I'm just saying things change, people change. So I was in that room for about 6 hours and then I got transferred to a holding cell. The holding cell was just, you know, very familiar to me. It was like coming home. It was a place I thought I'd never go to again, but here I was, and here was like the same blank, empty concrete walls. And like here was the same like bare bench, and it was freezing, and there was a metal toilet, and that was it. The big metal door, and like the rest of my life. And I just sat down, and for the first like 90 seconds of me sitting there, I was like, welcome home, bitch. I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm like, this is where you belong. And I think that is a huge part of like the criminal justice system's like brainwashing ability, is like they traumatize you. They have all this power. They're so corrupt. It's like the most fucked up, backwards, evil system you could ever imagine. And then they brainwash you into believing that like you belong there, and that's who you are. And like you're a box now. You're just like a little check in a square box, and you're a felon, and you're a criminal, and you're a drug addict, and you're an asshole, and you're a failure, and you suck. You suck. And there are no redeeming qualities about you unless you have money. Do you have money? Then you can buy yourself out of the system. If you don't have money, get fucked. And then so you're a failure, an asshole, a criminal, a felon, and you're fucking poor. And that's who you are. And that's all you'll ever be. And then people like that, let me tell you something. We are not more inclined to not break the law. All we do when we sit in these little fucking concrete boxes is think about better and more creative and interesting ways that we can break the law. So I'm like sitting in this box, and I'm still kind of high, and I'm thinking about my venti latte that I didn't even fucking get to finish drinking. And I'm just like, when am I going to get high again? That's like my only objective. That's all I have to even look forward to. I'm like not in love. I'm not close to my family. I don't have like a job that I'm passionate about. I don't even really have any hobbies except like going to concerts and getting fucked up. Like that's my biggest hobby at this point. So I'm just like, when am I going to get high again? That's like all I have to look forward to. I'm like not even really suicidal. I'm just like, when can I get high again? Like how soon can I get out so I can get high? So because I'm on parole, they have to call my parole officer. I'm 11 months into 12 months of parole. So I have to see him, and he has to decide before I go to court the next morning if I'm going to get violated. So I spent the first 6 hours in that little, like, you know, private bathroom, bench, two-way mirror room. And then I spent the next 8 hours in this cell, you know, this cold, empty cell. And I asked the police officer even, I was like, dude, can I get a book? Can I get a magazine? Can I get a newspaper? Can you get me like an instructional manual for like a law or a DMV or like literally anything to read? And he was like, no, fuck you. So I sat in this empty room thinking about when I was going to get high. All that matters is the next time that you're going to be able to get out and experience anything. It's like I've been living so fast and so hard for the last 11 months. Now I'm just almost even ready for a break. I'm like ready to be sober. I'm ready to get raped again. Like I'm ready for all of it. It doesn't even feel like anything that isn't something that I deserve. It's like you believe that you belong there. You believe that your inevitable fate is a part of what you signed up for by being alive. And so it's like I have, you know, two choices. I can kill myself, or I can just, you know, take what's coming. And it's like I don't even know how to kill myself in that situation. So I just have to, I mean, I feel like there's this like level of like resigning yourself to it. And I think that that's why we're in the year 2019 and we're living in a country where there are children that are kept in cages at our border. And we're not all like storming Washington, D.C., like in the streets, like yelling and screaming and crying and like demanding that things are different and like demanding that they're released and that there's this sense of like civility and humanity. We say it online and they say it on TV shows, and, you say it like right now, I'm like saying it on a podcast, but I'm not there. I'm not storming the streets, and like that's part of it. It's like part of this mental like corruption, this belief that you don't matter, you singular, it's like all of us matter together. And if we all went at the same time, like maybe it would make a difference. But, like we protested the Iraq war and it happened. It's like the women all marched together to be like, yeah, fuck men and the patriarchy, and like, what's different now? You know what I mean? Like, are people not getting raped anymore? Is like nobody getting sexually harassed? Are the children out of their cages? Like, no. It's like, what do we even do? It's like, it's a mental corruption. And part of it is social media. Part of it is, modern media. Part of it is apathy. Part of it, and like, that's them winning. It's like, if you feel apathetic to any of this, then like they win. If none of this matters, then like they win. And I believed that for so long. Like that was really a part of my own mentality. Like sitting in that cell, I was like, yep, I knew they won. I already knew that they won. And all I really wanted was that next high, because like that's all you can live for when they win already, when they've already won. You're like, when can I get high again? When can I escape this reality? When like VR becomes like our IRL, then, what is anything anymore? What are they going to use our bodies for? Do you think we'll be batteries or like what? Bon voyage.